I'm Nisha DeGaring.
And I'm Doug Jessup. Family Heritage Stories exist to give you ideas and examples of stories from the past to help shape the future.
It could be anything like a recipe from Grandma or a vacation location where your ancestors came from. These stories deserve to be passed down. Welcome to Family Heritage Stories, where we talk about what makes us who we are. Things like traditions, values, and culture.
How are these things passed down from generation to generation? Through deeds, through words, through stories. We all benefit from heroes among us. Now, they're going to say, it's just part of the job. But it's more than that. It's time for Hero Salute Stories. Hi guys, this is Doug Jessup. With me today, Manuel Romero. So Manuel, you and I met earlier, and when we talk about heroes, there aren't one or two in your family. You actually have a wall of honor that is in your family. You want to tell people what that's about?
Sure. So the Wall of Honor are 17 individuals from our family who served in the military beginning in 1944 all the way to almost the present.
Wow.
And some have served in combat, others just around the world, others here, and many of those, or three of those individuals, several of those individuals, they actually came out and they really benefited from their service through the GI Bill, for example.
Yeah.
And myself, I was able to not only buy a house, but acquire my education through the GI Bill.
Wow.
And so it has been a great benefit. But I think this also shows just and demonstrates the, I want to call it patriotism of our family that goes back before the United States was the United States.
Ah, really? Okay. Now you piqued my interest. So tell me, okay. So, I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out that Romero is probably Spanish, Hispanic. So where is your family come from?
Well, it's complex.
Of course, it always is.
But it's inspiring.
Okay.
So for records indicate that this individual came to the Americas from Spain in about 1568. 68-70. His name was Juan Holguin. Okay. And he came to the Americas, to Mexico, for looking for a new beginning, if you will. And a few years later, he met this Aztec princess,
Whoa.
who is my 10th grandmother. A few years later, they, again, looking for a better life and a new start, they answered the call to settle the American Southwest, which at the time was a northern province of New Spain, and came up north. And so our first ancestors that came to this country, again, before it was America, was in 1600. He was a cart handler. His name was Francisco Madrid. He came at 10 years old.
Whoa.
And his grandson, Roque Madrid, is a very interesting character in this story. He was, you might say, the Daniel Boone, okay, of our family. He was a diplomat. He spoke a few languages. He helped sign many treaties with the Pueblos and the Utes and the Navajos, and I'm talking early 1700s.
So he's the guy that basically kind of started this whole military serving tradition.
You might say that, yes.
Wow.
You might say this military service, started with him.
Wow, that is cool. So let's talk about your service.
Correct.
I am guessing that you are of the Vietnam era.
You guessed right.
Okay, so tell me what inspired you, and with 17 other people, geez, I kind of know what inspired you to serve, but tell me.
Well, graduating high school, I had no goals. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So at the time, and I've told you the story about the family and friends who were killed in Vietnam. And at the time, this was in 1967 when they were killed, I thought, I'm going to join the military. I'm going to avenge their death.
Okay.
I'm going to Vietnam and avenge their death.
Gotcha.
Well, I joined the military and I changed my mind.
Well,
Okay. I was kind of, I was more anti-war at the time, but decided that, I'm gonna do my service, and so I went into military, and it was interesting because it was in the military I really became more politically conscious about what was going on around the world. Partly because I was serving in South Korea, we had access to news that we generally didn't get in the United States.
yeah.
So that was that helped shape me, if you will.
Oh, yeah. Well, was that the first time that you had been out of the country?
Besides the border of Mexico, yes.
Yeah. I mean, because I got to think, Korea, man, that's kind of a culture shock.
It is.
So now, one of the things, and you mentioned this a little bit before, and I don't know if they even still do it, but this GI Bill just was a game changer for a lot of people in our generation. So how many people had gone to college in your family before you?
None. I was the first in my family to go to college. Again, thanks to the GI Bill. It was not something that I sought out. It was, again, I'm in the generation during the Civil Rights Movement. I'm becoming more conscious, and it sparked an interest in me that I wanted to know more. So I decided to sign up with the GI Bill and go to college, and then here I am.
So, Manuel, you've got such a great record, if you will, with all your ancestors. I mean, geez, 1700s and everything. And so, surprise, surprise, you wrote a book. Okay. And I got to think that there's some of that military service in this book. So, is there? And if so, tell me what's in there.
Well, yes, there's my military service, but it's also some of the military service and experiences that my brothers had. One in particular is my oldest brother. His name was Jose Melisendro. He joined the military in 1944. Second World War is still going on, correct? They sent him to the Pacific. His ship was on its way on early August, on its way from Saipan to fight on the Japanese island.
Whoa.
While his ship was on its way, they dropped the atom bomb.
Whoa.
His ship turned around.
Yeah. Close call.
Yes, and I think about that all the time, how that would have just changed everything in our family and his family, obviously. So, but that's one of the stories I talk about in the book, and there are other stories about my brothers who served in, but his, I think, was perhaps one of the more interesting ones.
So, Manuel, thanks for you sitting down and chatting about your military service and, of course, the book. So, how do people get the book?
They can get the book and learn about what's going on, read reviews about the book at miamerica2020.com.
With another Hero Salute story and Manuel Romero, I'm Doug Jessup. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us for this special episode of Family Heritage Stories. If you would like to help us continue with this great and important programming, please visit herosalutestories.org.
The Soldier's Creed. The Soldier's Creed. I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat.
Delivery.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough, trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
Someday you could be just like me.
I'm an expert and I'm a professional. I am guarding freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier.
There's a special bond between grandparents and grandkids.
Tell me a story about your grandma or grandpa.
For my grandmother, it was a funny story. For me, it was, and I tell the one time that my grandkids were. So, she was on the time on the Mexican Revolution, and she was a kid. So she said, "Do you know what used to play on that age. And I said, no, I don't know. So we were on a train one time, and my sister and me, we are really bored. So we decided to make something fun. And we start counting people who was dead on the side of the. So we were 1, 2, 3, I got 5, I got 6, I got 7. So for me, it was like, how can she overcome those kind of childhood traumas? For her, she at that age, she didn't understood what is going on. So that's why I think she was a tough lady.
Yeah, tell me about one of your grandfathers.
So one of my grandfathers, he was uh, really proud of his last name, Lecuona. So he said that his family came from France to Mexico. So uh, he always taught us to be proud and do good things, so we can put our last name in a good stand. He was like, you need to be good persons. You need uh, to be hard workers.
Don't forget to have fun with your grandkids. You're watching Family Heritage Stories with me and my grandkids. We'll be right back. Every veteran has a story that deserves to be remembered. At Family Heritage Stories, we collect, preserve, and share those personal experiences of our veterans. Your donations help us document and honor those veterans and their legacies for generations to come. Join us in ensuring that their legacies live on. Donate today at herosalutestories.org.
Mary Baird, what do you call two octopus that look exactly alike? Identical! What do you call a pencil with an eraser on both ends? Pointless.
You're watching Family Heritage Stories with me and my grandpa. We'll be right back.
In 1920, Nicholas Dorley Tarbox opened a service station with his wife Madeline. Shoulder to shoulder with Rhode Islanders through thick and thin, Tarbox has persevered, drawing strength from the community we're so proud of, honest and dependable. This is why Tarbox has been a favorite of local Rhode Islanders for generations. We're proud of our Ocean State heritage and comfortable as a Rhode Island original. So let customer service take you back to the future at Tarbox Hyundai, on and between Route 2 and Route 4 in North Kingstown.
My name's Deb Egan, and my mother has lived at Heritage Community for almost 2 months. Last year, her dementia really started to progress. And the day I moved my mom in here, she sat down in her chair and she said, I love it here. I love it. I'm so happy. And I was like, thank you.
Visit heritage-communities.com to find the community for you.
Later in the show, Brandon Fugel shares a story from his collection of movie memorabilia.
Are you really the Wright brothers?
That's right, kid. See that plane over there? We invented air travel right here in Dayton, Ohio.
Wow.
And the Dayton International Airport continues this heritage by constantly improving the air travel experience for everyone who flies through Dayton. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
Ah.
First flight.
Oh, not again.
Hey!
Wilbur, down!
What does heritage mean to you?
Oh, heritage. To me, as a member of the indigenous peoples, I believe that heritage comes with ancestry and genealogy. It's a part of you that is being transmitted from one generation to another. It may be in any aspect of your life, like political, economic, social, or cultural aspect of your life.
And now you have a beautiful outfit on. What's the
you.
importance of what you're wearing?
This is my tradition. This is one of the traditional attires of the Manobo community in Agusan del Sur. It's in Mindanao. It's in our country, in the Philippines. It's actually one of the cultural identifiers of the community, wherein it's allowed to show and proudly express their identity, beauty, and integrity as a member of the indigenous peoples of the community.
Okay. Now you get to pick.
Yeah.
But I want you to tell me about one of your grandmothers.
Okay. So my tribal name is Boilimpaayon, but it's spelled as Limpayen, but it's pronounced as Limpaayon. She is the mother of my father, who happens to be a Manobo also. But her name then was Boilimpayen before it was changed to Lourdes when the Christians came to the Philippines to spread Christianity. So that is why she had to change her name from Limpayen, her traditional name, her indigenous name, to a Christian name. That's Lourdes. So she belonged to the Manobo community. She was a teacher, but she was a pianist of the church when she converted to Christianity.
This is New Mexico, where the Rockies begin, where the summers are cool, the waters are warm, and the chili is hot.
Somewhere. Chilling the skies on a beautiful New Mexico night.
I wanna go there. I wanna go there. Where turquoise isn't just a color, it's a story you can hold in your hand. New Mexico. True.
You learn a lot about traditions, values, and culture when you travel.
Santa Fe is so rich in history, the many cultures, the art, the architecture, outlaws, the railroad, Harvey girls.
You could spend a lifetime here and still not learn everything that there is. You've got Native American history, Spanish history, you've got Wild West history.
No matter what your interest is, you'll find something to explore here and become enchanted by.
It's kind of like that movie Casablanca. Everybody comes to Santa Fe.
The history in Santa Fe is easily accessible even to the first-time visitor. You'll see plaques on some of the historic buildings, but even better than that is the bounty of historical walks and tours.
The oldest house dates back to 1200 AD. In other words, it was a Native American house. And when the Spaniards first got here, across the street, that's where they built the oldest church.
In 1609, Pedro de Peralta received orders to establish a colony right here in Santa Fe on this spot and began building the Palace of the Governors. Since then, it's housed Spanish governors, Mexican governors, U.S. governors, and in 1909 became the state's first museum.
Ancient historians would put, all roads lead to Rome. Well, here in the Southwest, all roads lead to Santa Fe. And right there at that marker, that's where the Santa Fe Trail, the journey commenced, the journey ended. 109 East Palace Avenue was the portal to the Manhattan Project. And what they were doing was they were bringing in technicians and scientists, and they get vetted inside there. That's the open sesame for the Manhattan Project.
The buildings in Santa Fe are based upon a historic precedent of long and low adobe huts. When we were trying to become a state, the federal government looked at us and they said, United States of America, I don't think so. And so for decades, we tried to look American. And as soon as we looked American, we looked around Santa Fe and we said, what have we done? And we immediately started developing the Santa Fe style. As an architectural historian, I love the fact that our architecture is based in these deep roots.
What I find most interesting about history in Santa Fe is how it's still here. You see it in the architecture. You can walk around and hear so many languages.
I've met so many interesting people here. It's like a dry dock ship. Goes all around the world because the world all comes to Santa Fe.
Objects with stories are treasures remembered. It's time now for a visit with Brandon Fugel.
With me, Brandon Fugel. So, Brandon, you and I have had lots of conversations, and you have some really, really cool artifacts. And as you know, objects with stories are treasures remembered. So what have you brought for us today?
I brought a very important item. It holds a very special place in movie history, cinematic history. The #1 ranked movie by IMDb, by the Internet Movie Database, is The Shawshank Redemption. Many people are surprised to hear that, but it has been the #1 ranked movie for over a decade. And the principal artifact or prop from that movie is in this pelican case.
Drum roll, please.
I acquired this very special item at auction this past year. This is the Holy Bible from The Shawshank Redemption.
The actual one, on camera.
The 1994 classic movie, which was inspired by Stephen King's short story, Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, brought to life on the silver screen, and a very dramatic tale.
I believe in two things: discipline and the Bible.
Andy Dufresne, who was wrongly imprisoned and ends up spending over 20 years imprisoned at Shawshank prison, made his escape by utilizing a rock hammer that he hid in a certain Bible. Most people consider the climactic moment where the warden goes to his safe to retrieve the documents that he had kept, all of those years, and then finds this Bible there deposited, and opens the Bible to find a message written: "Dear Warden, you were right. Salvation lay within. Andy Dufresne." And then, somewhat symbolically, he turns the pages and opens the Bible to the book of Exodus.
Oh, wow.
Revealing the cutout for a rock hammer that had been sequestered away in this Bible for 20 years as Andy Dufresne slowly and methodically plotted his escape from the prison. It is an incredible story of redemption. It is a classic, and this, my friend, I believe is arguably the most important prop from the #1 ranked movie of all time.
Wow. And not coincidental on the Exodus thing. Yeah, that's cool.
Very symbolic. But his journey throughout that movie, and the ultimate payoff in the end when the warden finds in his safe this Holy Bible that had been the method of escape for Andy Dufresne is quite a unique piece. They only made one. So according to the producer-director Frank Darabont, who brought this story to life, they only made one of these. They didn't have a backup because the process associated with painstakingly cutting out that rock hammer And fashioning this book was so lengthy, was so exhaustive, that they only had really, from a practical perspective, one opportunity to make this. So this is one of a kind, and I believe that it holds a special place, not only in cinematic history, but also in our cultural history.
Beautiful. Now, I'm going to close with, okay, it's dad joke alert, okay? Just remember, the truth shall set you free.
Indeed.
With another entry into Treasures Remembered with Brandon Fugel, I'm Doug Jessup. Everyone has a story.
And sometimes those stories are told through music.
Balmy breezes blow, kissed by the golden sunshine, is Nuevo Mexico, home of the Montezuma, with fiery hearts aglow. State of the deepest story is Nuevo Mexico, oh fair New Mexico. We love you so. Our hearts with pride will flow, no matter where we go. Oh, fair New Mexico, we love you so. The grandest state to know, New Mexico. Rugged and high Sierras, with deep canyons below, dotted with fertile valleys, is Nuevo Mexico. Filled full of sweet alfalfa, richest perfumes bestow. State of the apple blossoms is Nuevo Mexico. Oh, fair New Mexico, we love you so. Our hearts with pride will flow, no matter where we go. Oh, fair New Mexico, we love you so. The grandest state.
It's our honor to be able to help people remember where they came from.
The Fedora Foundation supports the collection, preservation, and distribution of diverse stories of traditions, values, and culture through Family Heritage Stories, on TV and online at familyheritagestories.org.
How do you want to be remembered? With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Nisha DeGary.
And I'm Doug Jessup.
Under a sky of azure, where balmy breezes blow, kissed by the golden sunshine, is Nuevo Mexico, home of the Montezuma, with fiery hearts aglow. State of the deepest story is Nuevo Mexico. Oh,